call forward Connor Plant. Connor is going for his citizenship in the Community Merit Badge and is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Connor. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Attleboro School Committee, September 25th, 2017. This is your notice that this meeting is being electronically recorded. This time we'll turn it over to our Student Advisory Council around Attleboro Update and our Student Advisory Representative, Dan Perry.
Okay. So, some updates about around the school system. So, skip one. Alright, so the PTO Scholastic Book Fair is actually happening today and tomorrow in Thatcher, and this is all for elementary schools. Welcome Back Night, the 26th, 6 to 8, is for all the elementary schools. It's September 26th. PTO Meadow Farms fundraiser due. That's just for Thatcher, and that's October 3rd. The Test Picture Day, October 3rd, that's Thatcher. Tests and ELC School Council meeting, October 3rd, and it's 5:30 to 6:30, and that's Thatcher also. And you'll notice Thatcher has a lot. Tests, ELC, PTO meeting, October 3rd, and it's at 6:30 to 8, and also Thatcher. Picture Day, October 5th, is at Hyman Fine. Back to School Barbecue, that's October 5th, and it's at Willett. Fire Safety Prevention, October 6th, 9 to 10, that's also at Willett. Early Release, October 6th. No School is Columbus Day, October 9th, and that's for everywhere. You see that on all sides, but that's for all schools. Fall Family Barbecue, October 12th, is Hyman Fine. Middle schools now. PTO meeting, October 17th, 6:30 to 7:30, and that's happening at Brennan, for Brennan. PTO meeting, October 18th, 6:30 to 7:30, and that's Quo. Oh, did I skip one? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I went ahead of you guys. I didn't realize that. Sorry about that. All right, I just skipped a whole slide. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
All right, I just skipped like a whole week. Book fair, that's September 25th, 29th, that's Warmsada. Martial Arts Assembly, September 26th, 8 to 10, is Brennan. Picture Day, September 27th, that's just Warmsada. Middle School Curriculum Night, it's all middle schools, September 27th, 6 to 8. Early Release, October 6th, all. And No School Columbus Day, October 9th. You know this one. PTO meeting, October 17th, 6:30 to 7:30, Brennan. And then the next day, another PTO meeting, October 18th, 6:30 to 7:30, and that's cool. High school. Senior Parent Night, September 28th, 6 to 8, is at Brain Auditorium. And we have Student Time Advisory, October 5th. And there's more for high school. Early Release, October 6th, and SAT Exam Day, October 7th. Community Engagement, Blue Pride Palooza, October 28th at 6 p.m. at the Elks. Tickets can be purchased at www.bluepridepalooza.weebly.com. The ASEPAC Attleboro Special Education and Parent Advisory Council, September 28th at 6:30 at Warmsada Middle School. District's Travel Meeting, Middle School and High School, October 3rd, 6:30 to 8, and that's at the Brea Auditorium. And then our update. So we're gonna, what we're talking about at our latest meeting, so trying to make everything more green. So we have posters around the school and everything that happened last year. So now we're gonna try and get more people to start using recycle bins instead of just having them in the classroom and saying we recycle. We're gonna just try and have people more people actually use them and start the organization and actually instead of just throwing all the trash in just a trash bin or whatever, we can put water bottles and paper and everything in the recycle bins, and then wrappers and stuff, obviously trash can. Try to implement that more. And then, so we're linking with student council to have a joint fundraiser through tailgating at the football games. We're still figuring out how everything's gonna run and how we're actually gonna get the money if we're gonna do tickets right away, or you pay for food. We're just trying to figure that out and everything, and how we're gonna get the food. And that's around Attleboro Public Schools right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Moving on to our business agenda tonight, we're going to start with our presentation by ASEPAC, our Attleboro Special Education Advisory Council. I'll call forward at this time Angela Ferreira, the chairperson, and Heather Jutris, the secretary. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you want to sit there?
Yeah, you can fall backwards in those chairs.
Yeah, I just realized that. That would have been entertaining. All right, well, thank you for having us tonight. We're happy to be here to present our annual report to you. Do you want to click to the first one? To the right. There you go. We are happy to announce that we have a full board this year. Heather Jutris has stepped forward to fill our vacant secretary position. We're very happy to have her and welcome her to our board. And you'll see that we still have the familiar faces that you're used to seeing for ASEPAC and our other positions. So what is the ASEPAC and PTOs? What is the difference? While both by parent volunteers, all public school districts are required to have a CPAC. The school district is charged with assisting the CPAC in maintaining its operations and activities. CPACs may fundraise, don't have to. CPAC funds must be deposited with the municipal treasurer and kept in an account for the CPAC, and the CPACs must comply with open meeting law. Our presentation tonight addresses the first duty outlined here. We meet with the special education director. We have been included in the special education subcommittee, which fulfills the second duty outlined on this slide. And lastly, we do have bylaws that have been in place since 2003, and they are accessible on our website. We typically offer the basic rights training in October. However, this year we wanted to offer the opportunity for our ASEPAC members to learn a bit more about developing effective IEPs. So on October 11th, our meeting will be an IEP for my child. And in March, we will offer the mandated training of basic rights. Basic rights is available to attend in other communities throughout the year, as each CPAC offers this training, and all CPAC meetings are open to the public. For our annual report, in the past, we have provided a written report separate from this presentation, but we decided that the PowerPoint presentation can be an effective way to address the requirement of providing you with a written report that stands alone, so we have omitted writing a separate narrative report. And with regard to receiving assistance from the school district, we have always received exceptional support, and it's much appreciated. So highlights from the ASEPAC for the 2016-17 school year. In June, we celebrated the dedication final buddy bench at Roberts Tree. As you can see, the staff embraced this project with a beautiful way by painting a mural, which included handprints of all the students. The Buddy Bench project has been truly significant and meaningful project for us, as we want to thank the school committee and the administration for their support and guidance with this project. And truly, this picture does not do that wall justice. It's really beautiful. Oh, shoot. Another highlight was for ASEPAC, we were invited to attend the ARCS award dinner, and we were recognized for the Buddy Bench project. We were presented with a beautiful plaque, trophy, I'm not sure what that is. But it's beautiful, and it's something that we're really happy to have been honored in that great way. So we highlighted the events
that we participated in within the schools and in the community. I'll say again, I think I said this last year, if you didn't see ASEPAC, you weren't looking. We were everywhere. We were included in attending a training on building conditions for success in collaborating for successful family, school, and community partnerships. That was a mouthful, but that was a really good conference that we participated in with a group from Thatcher. We had representation in the Envisioning Future workshop. I participate on the special ed subcommittee. We did have a great family fun event at Oak Knoll. We do a table at Blue Pride Night. We were able to participate in the kindergarten information night at each elementary school. We participated in a special education 8th grade information night at Attleboro High School. We launched the Make a Difference Award program, which was a really big highlight for us. We had representation on a school transition and great participation from parent. And we meet quarterly to share ideas and help each other in leading CPACs. We host a table at the Special Olympic Day Games. We have hosted a Plant and Pour fundraiser, which was a really great time. We had a booth at the farmers market. We donated and attended at the Blue Pride Palooza, which was a lot of fun, and participated in a Parent Connections interview, which was connecting parents with special education resources. That was our to-do list last year. And then Heather's going to talk a bit about the Ability Awareness Fair that we did.
So this past May, right? Oh,
Yes.
that's May. So this past May, we had the Ability Awareness Fair. This was held at Coelho Middle School, and the 6th graders participated in this. The goal of the event is to create an experiential learning environment that will allow students to understand different types of disabilities, with hands-on activities that simulate what it is like to attempt learning tasks with a specific disability. We received great feedback from the students and staff. Some students commented that they learned more about their own struggle with dyslexia. Some of our goals is to bring this event to the students annually and to have it offered district-wide at the middle school level. We had outstanding support from staff in preparing for and executing this event. This is a glimpse of the vision statement and communication. This is a glimpse of the vision station and the communication station. There were mobility tasks that included maneuvering a wheelchair into the classroom and several one-hand activities such as zipping, zippers, and buttoning a shirt. We also had online activities that simulated reading disabilities and some sensory distractions while trying to complete academic tasks.
We received great participation in the Make a Difference Recognition Award program. We had 36 submissions. Some of the nominees received multiple nominations. As you know, we selected 6 award recipients, 3 students, a teacher, a coach, and a pillar in the community for Special Olympics. And we look forward to bringing that program forward again in the spring to recognize additional people who make a difference. Even though we strive to be visible in our school communities and the larger Attleboro community, we still find parents who are not aware of the Attleboro Special Education Parent Advisory Council. So we continue to participate in as many events as possible. And we ask you, if you're contacted by families, to please, refer them to us. I often tell parents when they come to a PAC meeting that they've entered the room of their people. They're surrounded by people who understand the journey that they're going through. Each year, we have a family fun event, and it allows families and students to enjoy an inclusive activity out in the community. And it's made possible through grant funding from the Attleboro Cultural Council. These events have been very well received, and it is a great opportunity for our families to come together and just have a good time. This event was a lot of fun. You did not see me touching any of the bugs. I was well away from that. But we are planning another family fun event coming up this October 14th, which will be at Arujo Farms in Dayton with pumpkins and tractor rides, and it'll be a great event. And there's more information about that on our Facebook page and on our website. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how ASEPAC gets their funding. I mentioned the Attleboro Cultural Council grant, which is really important to us. It really helps support us having a family fun event. The Attleboro Booster Club always invites us to come and sell raffle tickets, so we recruit cute kids to come and help us generate good funds for that. And we have put on a few small fundraisers. Our fundraisers are more about a night out for parents to come, and it helps raise funds, but it is an enjoyable evening doing something fun. Our Plant and Pour was one where we make container plantings, which we enjoyed all summer long, and we're going to be hosting more events like that coming up this year, so we're hoping that families will come and enjoy that with us. We also, through our regional CPAC collaboration, learned that oftentimes PTOs help support CPACs in funding events and different things. And so we reached out to the PTOs throughout the district and received generous donations from Coelho Middle School, Hill Roberts, Willett, and Thatcher, which really made our Ability Awareness event a reality. And just wanted to throw some appreciation to them for helping support ASEPAC.
So last school year, all of our meetings and training workshops were held at Hyman Fine Elementary. So we wanted to thank Tricia Martin and the Hyman Fine staff and families for welcoming the ASEPAC into their building and our meeting building for our meetings last year. It was a pleasure to get to know their school community better, and Ms. Martin commented many times that she learned from our presentations and even put into practice some of what she learned. Our goal is to offer training and presentations that meet the needs of our ASEPAC families and our staff. We welcome any requests for certain topics.
So we do a lot of communicating electronically. Our Facebook page has really, really grown over the last couple of years. It is a great resource for families, but also for staff. There's a lot of specific articles that are written about specific disabilities that can benefit teachers, because their expertise is in education. As a parent, our expertise becomes our child's disability. And so grouping those together can really help have a positive impact on the classroom environment for the teachers and for our students. This particular post was one about behavioral challenging kids. Hugging a Porcupine is a great title, I thought, and it had excellent reach. And many of our posts do have great reach like that. We also communicate through a quarterly newsletter, which is new. Our PR person started doing that last year. It's been very helpful. And our website has great information about our upcoming events, but it also has an archive of all of our reports and meeting minutes and that kind of thing, if anybody's interested in reading them. And so one of our duties is also to share concerns that parents bring forward to us throughout the district. And I would say that challenging behavior is probably one of the number one things that I get contacted about from parents. And we'd really like to see specific training to help the staff and administrators in dealing with challenging behavior. And that is something we speak about with Yvonne Medeiros, our special education director. We meet with her monthly, and we were very pleased that she is bringing forward this training for professional development, but it also has a parent component so that we will also have access to the training from Jessica Minahan. She's very well known throughout the area for her work with behavioral challenges and social emotional disabilities. So we're looking forward to that. That's something that will be offered to ASEPAC in our January meeting. This information comes from the Ross Green website. He's another person who is very well known in working with students who have challenging behavior, and his website contains a lot of significant resources, both for families and for educators, and we just wanted to put that out there as a resource for everyone. And I also just really, the way that it's worded is important, because I've heard some of the things mentioned here, that when a child has challenging behavior, sometimes if you're not well versed with the person exhibiting that behavior, it can seem like it's just attention seeking or manipulative or limit testing, but most of the time it's a true impact of their disability. And sometimes people will use judgment and think that it's, not appropriate parenting, you're not setting limits, you're not being strict enough. And these are all misconceptions that have 50 years of research showing that we need to change that mindset when we look at a child who has social emotional disabilities. And the reason I put this up there is this is the Ross Green website that has so much on there for no-cost resources that can help both teaching staff, support staff, administrators. There's great walking tours that are audio. I don't know if I'm certain that teachers must listen to podcasts. I listen to them all the time when I'm out walking or working out, and there's great resources here. There's one thing on our monthly meeting agenda with Yvonne that never comes off. It's communication. It's an area that is frequently spoken about. One thing I've learned is that when we talk about problems and concerns, the way that it's communicated back and forth between the school and the family, effective communication is so important, and it can always have a positive impact on getting to where things need to be. The flip side of that is when there's ineffective communication, it escalates a problem and can impact the school-family relationship long term. It can really undermine trust. So one thing that, we work with Yvonne Medeiros monthly is how can we address improving effective communication, because we really feel like if we address that, it will really have a positive impact with families in special education. For students with certain disabilities who are unable to communicate verbally, whether they're nonverbal, limited verbally, Effective communication for these families needs to be at a higher level. And we'd like to see some sort of district-wide, protocol or tool so that expectations for the kind of communication that those families need can be streamlined and modeled, across the board. So as a child moves throughout the district, they're getting that same type of embedded communication for their child that has that type of disability. And the other thing, too, with Aspen, which I know is going to be getting more use at the elementary level. In the middle school level, for sub-separate programs, I've been hearing mixed things from parents. Some parents are accessing, and other parents are telling, well, I wasn't told, I don't really need to log in and have a password or anything for that. So we'd like to see that tool used more effectively throughout the district, because we feel like that would really help parents at home in supporting the work that their students need to do. ESY, extended school year. Effective communication, again, at the top there. Initially, when a letter went out, there was some confusion about program participation. It led to a lot of phone calls and a lot of confusion. Luckily, Yvonne was able to address that and help clarify it for us. There was some confusion early on about transportation eligibility, which we addressed ahead of time as well. So our hope is that at the beginning of ESY, which starts before school is really out, getting all that paperwork and everything done, is that the participation letter should be clear with their communication. We need a first and a last name for teachers so that we can communicate via email. If they're not an Attleboro email, then we need what specific email we should communicate to, the room number, transportation, and drop-off information. We just want to see that communication be the same as the regular school year that we get in August.
So the hope for ASEPAC members is that the district will focus on developing IEPs and programs to be used as tools for building authentic, inclusive opportunities within our school communities, which includes all events and activities that happen in each school building. We feel that across the Attleboro district, we should not be striving only for procedural compliance, but strategically developing meaningful programming and robust IEPs that build inclusive lives for our students with disabilities. We also feel that push-in services rather than pull-out services need to be an available option when appropriate, and that students need to have a voice in their special education support services. Team placement decisions. So if a student is located in a sub-separate program, then parents should have the knowledge of what program or placement their student will be in for the following school year prior to the end of the current school year. IEP teams make the placement decisions, not administrators. The teams need to have the knowledge of district programs well before the end of the school year. And we've heard from a good amount of parents that this seems to be decided towards the very end of the school year, and so it just doesn't give a lot of chance for the parents to be able to really research so that they can feel fully comfortable with what that decision is.
Early dismissal of students receiving special education services. In my 6 years with the PAC, this is something that off and on has come up. I know when my son was a student, one time he came out to get on his bus and his bus was already gone because his last period was an inclusive class and the minibuses had already left. And so that's something that we've been seeing a lot of press about civil lawsuits on this issue. And we just wanted to make sure that we are accommodating students who do need to move early out of their classroom and get to the bus, whether they have a mobility issue or whatever, but that's should be documented in their IEP or in their 504 accommodation. But other students, you know, who don't need that accommodation might be denied instruction time. There's, you know, a stigma, I think, for some associated with, you know, oh, those kids get to leave early. And they miss out on an opportunity for socializing with their peers if they're shuttled off before their time at the end of the school day. So we just want to make sure that it's noted and that we're paying attention to that.
So the greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but that it is too low and we reach it. So this just kind of gets into making sure that we set goals that are attainable but yet not too easy within our IEPs for our students and our children.
So our goals for this coming school year, we want to review and update our bylaws if necessary. We'd like to attend the Apple Institute conference with our special education director, our second annual Make a Difference Award program. We would like to develop and implement an online annual year-end survey for families to understand what is and isn't working, sort of a very easy, small survey that they can take to give good feedback to the administration. We would like to expand our Understanding Disabilities Fair, and we would like to meet with the City of Attleboro's Summer Rec Director to try and align some program opportunities, especially for our students who participate in ESY. Sometimes the rec programs have morning activities and our kids are in school, so we want to see if we can address that. And for this year, we are holding our meetings at Wamsutta Middle School. We're trying to hit each school. Every year we want to switch so that we're getting into that school's community. And this Thursday is our first meeting where Mr. Sawyer and Mrs. Medeiros will be there. And this is our lineup of meetings for the year. We have always offered childcare at our ASEPAC meetings, but oftentimes our childcare person ends up coming and there are no kids. So we're trying to implement an RSVP to request childcare, and we'll arrange to have it there if somebody needs it. And that's it, I believe. That is our presentation. Any questions?
Mr. Geddes?
Thank you very much. Always good to see you guys starting off the year strong for us. You talked about the desire for a tool or some type of protocol for verbally limited students. Do you guys have anything in mind for that? Is there something that's already out there? Is it something that you think we would need to develop?
A lot of teachers have different tools that they use. And it's tough when a child's transitioning, especially from one building to the next.
From elementary to middle.
Yeah, and from middle to high school. And so I know I've seen a lot of the Remind app being used with my kids. And I know that there are other ones that different teachers use. I think it would help parents if it was streamlined so that the expectation would carry over and just be similar to what they're used to. And with a child who's limited verbally, communication needs to start a little bit sooner than with kids who are able to articulate and converse about their day at school. Because you're sending a child off, even on that bus, it's hard to let go when your kid can't tell you what their day's been like.
Right. Excellent. Thank you.
Sure.
Ms. Johnson?
Sure. So, Angela and Heather, thank you very much for your presentation. I just want to touch upon what you had mentioned about communication. And I think there's a lot of things that the Attleboro Schools does very well, but no matter how well we do, there's always going to be room for improvement. And I think that communication may be one of those areas. And it sounds as though, from your presentation, that there are some requests that are very reasonable, and I think that was some excellent feedback that you gave to us. And I know just in general, sometimes you get involved in your day-to-day and pushing through and trying to get those tasks done, and it can take time to do some thorough communication. But the time invested up front in that communication is going to save a lot of time on the back end that can be used for other activities and other important tasks to be done. So, again, thank you for your feedback. Just want to let you know that that's been heard. I think it's all very reasonable, and thank you again for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both again for the information. Thank you to you and your whole board. I mean, you're a great resource for parents and for our educators. And the service that you provide for the students and the families is invaluable. So thank you. We're always here to listen or respond to any concerns you have, and please don't hesitate to reach out to me or any of us as the year goes on.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And one question I did have actually is the ASEPAC monthly meetings at Wamsutta. What time are they at?
We do a 30-minute parent support.
Okay.
So if a parent is having a concern and they need help or they need resources, so from 6:30 to 7 we have parent support, and then from 7 usually to 8:30, 9 o'clock is our meeting.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, the next item on our agenda tonight is MSBA Attleboro High School project update. A couple things to report on. Last week, the SBC met again. Mr. Tyler and Mr. Geddes were there as well. I think we had a nice, robust discussion as the process is moving forward. Now we're starting to see some drawings, some detailed drawings of actually the exterior of the buildings and the campus, as well as more detailed plans for the interior, including desks and where things would go in the classroom. So the project is really, the proposed project is really moving along nicely. At that meeting, I think the architects took some feedback onto some of the design options they had for the exterior of the building, and we'll be coming back at our next meeting with some revisions to that. So as those are refined and circulated, I encourage everyone to take a look at them, because it really is impressive looking. At that meeting as well, a couple other decisions that were made. One was to go ahead with the solar panels in the parking lot, which would be correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Sawyer, but I believe it's 2 rows of solar panels.
That is
so
correct.
above 2 rows of parking in the parking lot that would provide solar for the building and some energy savings, while also
Estimated at 5%.
5%. Also, obviously, green and environmentally friendly, so it's something that we're proud to have in the plan. We also voted at that time, at that meeting, the SBC voted, to not go forward with the green roof initiative. Mrs. Sawyer, if you could just speak a little bit to that discussion, and what the thought was in not going forward with that, and how some of the educational benefits that we could have reaped from it can be taken into the classroom.
Yeah, so there was hope that the potential cost of a green roof would be offset by savings in the size of the cistern that is required to capture the rainwater off the roof. So if you have more water going into a green roof, you don't have to have as much storage for the water. But the savings were minimal. in the tens of thousands, whereas the green roof itself was, hundreds of thousands, almost $1 million. And also, part of what added to the expense of the green roof was the fact that it would require structural upgrades. That's a lot of weight to have those trays of dirt and plants. So the roof would have to be able to bear that weight. So that adds to the expense. And so the points towards LEED, which would help us to get the extra 2% reimbursement from the state, weren't really necessary, and so there wasn't an economic benefit to having it. And while it would have been nice, the amount of space on the roof actually being covered that's usable based on the design wasn't that great. So when we did the cost benefit analysis, it just it didn't seem to make as much sense. We'd rather use the money on some other projects, especially like the solar panels, which we think not only is there an economic benefit to, but also we would then have that on site for our electrical students to actually be used in a learning capacity as well.
I think it's also a good kind of example of how the school building committee has really been going through the plans and looking at all different options and how, things that can be eliminated from the plans for unneeded costs or not large enough cost benefits, and at the same time what improvements are necessary and will bring benefits and savings to the district. So it's just an example of, I think, the work that committee's been doing over the past year to keep the costs at a reasonable level. Other than that, with the high school project, it's moving along. It continues to move along at the same pace and the same schedule that we've anticipated, so we're still on track for a final submittal to the state in December for the December MSBA board meeting, which is the schedule that we've been aiming for a while now. So nothing has changed on that. One of the things that's been talked about a lot in talking about the high school is the savings that a new building can have to the operating budget for the school department by reduced maintenance and utility costs and increased reimbursement from additional CTE programs. And the school administration has been working with the city administration to kind of fine tune those numbers as part of the fiscal sustainability plan for the schools, which we've talked about for the past several months. It's something that we wanted to put together as a way to kind of map out how we can bridge that $10 million gap that we've talked about so many times during budget time. The school administration and the city administration is close to having that ready, and we plan to have a presentation from the school administration on October 16th, which I believe is our next meeting here, of a proposed fiscal sustainability plan that will largely include the savings from a new high school, as well as others. Anything that you would add to that?
No, I mean, as we've discussed on many occasions, to put the school where we need to be in terms of its financial standing, that requires that the school do its part to create a sustainable budget situation so that moving forward, increases can actually provide us with the measures to close the gap, but it's also going to require increased funding from both the state and the local municipality, along with the taxpayers themselves.
So that's the plan. I think both administrations have some work to do to finalize that, but I think they feel they're close enough that we can schedule that for the 16th. And I'll ask if that's a draft is at least circulated to us in enough time in advance that everyone can review it, and then we can ask the appropriate questions at that time. Any questions on the MSBA update, Mr. Tyler?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think one important point that we missed in what Mr. Sawyer was talking about with the when we're talking about solar, when we're talking about the green roof, by law, we have to have so much Go Green initiative in any building, especially when there's one of this size that's almost 500,000 square feet. And you get points for every one of those. So I think the point we're missing to say was, we're looking at getting any initiative we can on here, but there has to be a cost to what benefit we get out of it. And I think Mr. Sawyer did point that out, but it's not like we're bringing things into the school district that are above and beyond. They're mandated in a building especially of this size. So it's just kind of weighing those options, which ones are the best ones for Attleboro, and which ones don't fit into the grand scheme of things. But again, it is a mandate. We do get points for these things, and that point potentially leads to a higher reimbursement on the building. So I think that's just one important issue that was kind of missed.
Yeah, well
The
said.
second point being, when I was on the football field, a lot of people were asking, like, you know, it's white, it's ugly. You know what I mean? It's like, that's just one rendition of what it possibly could look like. There's plenty of alternatives. They said it kind of stuck out. So you got all these brick buildings in the background, and then you put this big white, actually building right in the middle of it, and it doesn't blend in. So that's not the case. It may be the case, I don't know. But I don't think even the committee was thinking that way. We want something that's kind of more, maybe traditional sense. So don't take what's on the actual website and say that that's the finished product. It's by nowhere near the finished product. We're still looking for a great eye appeal, while also making sure it's fundamentally designed to do what it's supposed to be doing in the first place.
Yeah, and I think, the pictures that most of the public have seen at this point are simply the 3D renderings that were issued so that people can get an idea of the size and what the shape of the building would be like. But to your point, there's been nothing decided as to the exterior of the building and what it's going to look like, and it's not going to be an ugly building.
Well, it's not going to be a white building, right? I mean,
Right. It's not.
Those are called massing diagrams, and they're
Massing,
just
yeah.
to give you a sense of the volume of the building. The finishes are only being discussed now. We're just getting to that discussion, so.
But I've had similar comments of people who see the massing photos and say, why is it so ugly? Well, it's a massing, it's a rendering. It's not the building that's going to be on Rathbun, that we hope will be on Rathbun Willard Drive. So that's an important point for people to understand at this point. And to your first point, Mr. Tyler, you're right. I mean, the green roof and the solar panels and green initiatives, we get added reimbursement for certain initiatives that we decide to go forward with. And part of what the SBC has been doing is looking at those various options and which ones are worth the added reimbursement and which ones don't have that much of a financial benefit or just don't fit with what we're looking for here in Attleboro.
Yeah, I mean, a 5% savings on our electrical bill over the lifespan of the building has a significant, cost benefit for us that, by the way, is moving operational dollars out of, utilities and into other things that are direct benefit to students. And then, as we've discussed, you get those. If you get enough points, we get enough a 2% boost on the reimbursement rate, and 2% on a project of this size is millions of dollars. So when you put all that together, you say, all right, well, sure, the solar panels cost us about $900,000, but the return on that $900,000 is significant. So that's why we say yes. But when you look at the green roof, there's the cost associated with it, but there isn't that same return. In fact, there's concerns that you put these things on the roof, and it's hard to believe there won't be maintenance costs and other things, and so you say that's really an expense, not an investment.
Okay. Mr. Storrs.
I just want to say that I do appreciate it's obvious that the committee is, obviously looking at ways to meet the points that we need to regarding the state reimbursement requirements, while also what's going to give us, the bang for the buck. And I think the solar panels definitely fit that. I don't want it to be misconstrued or misunderstood. Could you explain what they will ultimately look like? Because I know it's not going to be a solar panel farm out there. So can you explain what we're talking about here?
Sure. So they are. It's almost like a roof, essentially, over 2 rows of.
It's like a carport.
Yeah, a carport roof over 2 rows of parking spots in the parking lot. I think in what'll be the rear of the building. So yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. It's like a carport over two rows of spots.
Thank you.
Got it?
Just to that point, Bristol Community College has 2 or 3 parking lots with these solar panels over them. I'm pretty sure there are pictures online, so if you want to have an actual visual, if you go to their website.
Any other questions? So that's the MSBA update for this meeting, and we'll continue to have an update on this on the project until the vote, until it goes through it, gets through the state, hopefully in December, and then a vote is held next spring. Next item on the agenda, BICO County Collaborative Update. Mr. Sawyer?
Thank you. So, in my new role as superintendent, I learned that I have the joy of representing Attleboro as a member of the board of the BICO Collaborative. So I represent our interests there and required to go to so many, I don't know the exact number, but there's monthly meetings, about 10 a year, and our participation in BICO requires that I'm there for most of them. Usually it's, pro forma, and I keep an eye on things. And I've been waiting for this moment, but I finally something happened that I really feel have a responsibility to report to you all. BICO is considering expanding its membership, and as such, it will need to change the agreement, and any change to the agreement requires school committee approval. So if in fact at our next meeting in October, the board votes to recommend that we change the agreement so that we can add 2 more communities to the collaborative, then that matter will be brought back to this board for approval. Because while I might sit on that board, that board does not have the authority to do something of that nature. So I just wanted to prepare you for that moment, because I anticipate at our next meeting, which I'm not sure whether that's before or after the 16th, so it'd probably be the end of October that you'll see that matter brought back to you. So in 2 meetings from now, I imagine that I'll be asking you to consider changing that agreement to add those 2 communities. So I want to bring it to your attention if you had any questions.
That would require the approval of every school committee?
Yeah, we asked the question as a board at our last meeting when this was brought to our attention, whether it requires a unanimous vote or just a majority of the school committees. The answer to that question wasn't immediately obvious to anybody, and we were seeking legal counsel. So I will have hopefully the answer to that question in anticipation for the vote that you'll have to take.
And what's the impact to this school district if BICO does expand?
So the argument for adding them is that these are 2 communities that currently are paying for non-member services, and as they are using that more and more, they are beginning to think that, if they don't become members and get the member rates, that they should just find a different option. So this is a way to retain their business. Is really what I would say it comes down to.
Any other questions on this at this time, Mrs. Scales?
Is there a budgetary impact that I see? There's a change in the rate for us?
No, the rate does not change for us.
Okay.
What we're looking to do is to increase what we charge. So in that memo, we're looking to change from 20 to 25% on member district tuition or services on an annual basis may vary. So the services to people who aren't members.
Okay,
We can charge them more.
gotcha, thank you.
Mr. Storrs?
So in reading this, what I saw is for, I think it was 2 years or a couple of years, the new districts would pay certain levels of surcharge, but then after that, they're considered regular, and it goes down to the same level that everybody else pays.
Yeah, so that they don't get hit, so that we don't lose the sum and that things even out. Yeah, it's over a couple of years that we ease that transition in.
So in looking at this, I see the benefit to BICO. I see the benefit to the 2 new districts, obviously. I don't really see it benefiting or impacting us that much.
The impact is negligible for us. The benefit to us is that the larger and healthier that BICO is, the less we have to worry about it, right? I mean, as long as it's doing well, it's financially stable, and that it's offering lots of programs because there are lots of needs, then that's available to us as a community to utilize as is needed by our students. If BICO were to go in the other direction, because right now it's actually vibrant and growing, but if it were to go in the other direction, that would be something we would worry about, because we certainly have students with needs that BICO services.
So just to reiterate on that, is there any chance that any of our students could ever be turned away due to class sizes getting to a certain point or anything of that nature? Or how would that normally be handled?
You know, honestly, I'm not exactly what the mechanism for that problem is, but BICO, you know, its projections are based on its anticipated enrollment. So I'm not aware of a situation where they're turning anybody away. But I mean, to your point, I mean, at some point,
You would assume they would
It's not
expand
enough.
class.
but that's what they currently do is when they have when their enrollment goes up, they add another teacher, and so that's one of the things we do on a monthly basis at those board meetings is we say, oh, look, enrollment went up in this program, they have to hire another teacher, and then we approve those moves. But you know, one of the reasons why they're moving out of Finburg to go to this other place is they wanted to expand that program so that they would be able to bring in more teachers if they had more students.
Thank you.
Mr. Geddes?
And on a somewhat related note, since you brought up Finburg, where does that stand? I know they were initially,
So we're on
initial plan was the summer, but they extended
So
it.
we're on a
out.
month-to-month. They had some problems getting the building permit for the project. But that's in place, the work's being done, they're very excited about it. And at the September meeting, they are still very confident that they're going to be in their new building for January 1st.
Okay.
Quite frankly, you know, as long as it's within the school year, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
We'll keep collecting rent.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Mr. Sawyer.
Thank you.
Next, we have an agreement to approve with the Teamsters Local 653. This is the agreement for 2017 to 2020. Mr. Furtado, do you want to just come forward or from back there? Just give us a kind of fiscal impact specifics on this agreement.
Sure, the drivers have a two-step wage scale, and there was a 2% COLA applied to that wage scale. It's a very modest financial agreement.
And it's in line with the fiscal impacts of the other agreements. Great. All right, so at this point, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the proposed agreement.
So, second?
Any discussion or questions about the agreement? We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Storrs?
Yes.
Mr. Tyler?
Yes.
Withers, yes. Mrs. Scales?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Geddes?
Yes.
Mrs. Sawyer?
Yes.
All right. That concludes the business portion of our agenda. Move forward, we have the minutes from our September 11th, 2017 meeting. Minutes were circulated with your packets. Do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to our consent agenda items. Motion to accept a donation in the amount of $1,000 on behalf of Nicholas and Daniel Hassenfuss, thank you, Mrs. Scales, Hassenfuss, to be used to purchase Chromebooks for Wamsutta Middle School. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept a donation of 3 complete sets of field hockey goalie equipment with a total value of $5,593.65 from the South Attleboro Girls Recreation Association and the Rebecca Lynn Whitefield Foundation to be allocated to the varsity, junior varsity, and freshman field hockey teams respectively, as described in the September 12th, 2017 memorandum.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just wanted to say thank you to Sagra and thank you again to the Whitefield Foundation. Their continued support of our schools and our athletic programs is fantastic. And thank you to everyone that supports the Whitefield Foundation with all of their fundraisers. I know we say it a lot I know we thank them a lot, but it feels like we still don't thank them enough.
Agreed. Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept a donation of 35 neodymium grade 42 2x1.5 bar magnets and 1,032 solar cells from a community member and retired electrical engineer Paul LaPierre for a total estimated value of $1,029.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
That concludes our consent agenda. Move on to our subcommittee report for tonight, and Mrs. Scales, you are on with policy and personnel.
Okay, thank you. We met on September 18th, and we went through the rest of policy, Section J, and we dealt with a lot of the policies that Mass Association School Committee has that we did not have. So we went through, looked at policy JI, which is the student rights and responsibilities. At this time, the administration decided not to adopt the policy, and that is because it is covered in civil rights and due process policies, so we didn't want to be redundant. We looked at policy JIB, the student involvement in decision-making. The administration reviewed the policy, and it was recommended for adoption. We very much appreciate the input of our student reps. So I'd make a motion to adopt policy JIB, student involvement in decision-making.
Second?
Any questions, comments?
Yeah, I just want to say that this isn't something that we're not doing. It's just a policy that we haven't had, but without a doubt, this is a district that values our student input, and it's something that we've continually done over the years. So I think this policy just puts into words what we're already doing. I think it's important to say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we looked at policy JIC, student discipline. The administration had reviewed the policy and had not recommended it for approval, but we discussed it at length, and we decided that we were just going to table it and discuss it again in January. We wanted to look at legal to review it, and then we also wanted to kind of coincide it with looking at the handbooks. Next, we looked at policy JICA, student dress code. The administration recommended the adoption of the policy, and we were going to mirror that of mask. So I make a motion to adopt policy JICA, student dress code, as presented.
Second?
Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We looked at policy JICF, gang activities, secret societies. Again, the administration recommended the adoption of the policy, and we agreed we're going to mirror that of mask. So I make motion to adopt policy JICF, gang activities, secret societies, as presented.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we looked at policy JICF, prohibition of hazing. The administration recommends the adoption of this policy. There were just some minor edits done, and this will also be put in the handbooks. So we have a motion to adopt JICFA.
Second?
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Policy JICFA E1, which is the hazing, is not, we did not review it at the time because it was in front of legal counsel, and it will come back at a different meeting. Policy JIE, which is pregnant students, the administration recommended the adoption of the policy as presented. Any questions? I make a motion to adopt JIE.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We looked at JII, student complaints and grievances. The administration recommended the adoption of the policy. It mirrors that of mask, sorry. Motion to adopt JII.
Second?
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Policy JK, which is student conduct. The administration reviewed the policy, and it was determined that a lot of the information in this is already covered in student handbooks and in other policies, so we did not recommend to approve it at this time. Policy JKA, which is corporal punishment. Again, the administration reviewed the policy and is not recommended at this time. Policy JL, which is student welfare. The administration reviewed the policy, not recommended. Again, it's covered in other policies, and is very redundant in other things. JLA is a student insurance program. Again, not recommended for adoption. Policy JLD is the guidance program. The administration recommended it for adoption, and we agreed, but we just asked that it please be vetted through the head of guidance, and that will be brought back to us once that is done. Policy JP, student gifts and solicitation. Again, this is just redundant, and it's covered elsewhere in other policies. Policy JQ is the student fees, fines, and charges. The administration reviewed it. We agreed that it should be put in place, seeing as we do have a exhibit to go with it. So at this time, we have to make a motion to adopt JQ as presented.
Second?
Any questions? All in favor? Motion passes. Policy JRD, mostly it's student photographs, but mostly has to do with the bringing in of outside people to come and take the photographs. Motion to adopt JRD as presented.
Second?
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We had some old business, and these were mostly based on legal counsel reviews. Policy AC, the administration summarized the edits from the council. We vetted and we went through and we made even more edits. And the motion to approve the policy AC as presented.
Second?
Any questions?
The one thing I noticed in all of those policies, there was no reference given to gender expression.
Did we, thank you.
It identifies gender identity.
Well, that's different from expression. Identity is like, I'm a lesbian, and expression is, I'm a lesbian that dresses like a man. So a child could technically go to school dressed in female or male clothing, and there's nothing in there to identify that that would be acceptable.
So the protected classes listed in these policies are the ones specified by law in Massachusetts. So gender identity is a protected class. When it became one, we added it to the policies, and that's why that language is used. I mean, just as by way of explanation for why it's written the way that it is.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Ed, you said this was vetted by legal counsel?
Yes.
Yeah, Laura.
Yes.
I do think it's important to note, the policy subcommittee, along with the administration, when we look at these, we're looking at the law. And I think it's very important that we follow the law to the letter, and we can't interpret it ourselves. That's why we have legal counsel, and we can't add to it because the law dictates what we need to protect. So I think most of these policies that we're about to hit fit into that mold, that they're to the law.
All right. All in favor?
All right.
Motion passes. Next, we looked at policy ACA, non-discrimination on the basis of sex. They were just some minor edits from legal counsel, and again, we reviewed them, and yeah, it was mostly just, that was the move, just mostly just putting in the different titles, right?
Correct.
Right, identifying who was responsible for what. A motion to approve policy ACA as presented.
Second?
Questions? Anybody?
This is a Title IX compliance?
Right,
Doesn't look like the right one?
Yes.
ACA? Yeah, okay.
yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Policy ACAB is the sexual and gender-based harassment policy. I was going to get through it. And, what is it? there was just one edit made, and that had to do with the way the postings, right?
One of the examples of the.
One of the examples, yes. And with that, we have I'll do that separate. So a motion to approve policy ACAB as presented.
So moved?
Second.
Questions? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We have, with that, Exhibit E1, non-discrimination, anti-harassment procedures. This summarized the legal counsel edits and the reason for doing such. And that was that the one mostly to do with the Boy Scout one? No.
This was the
Investigation.
process.
Oh, the process.
Investigated
That's right, the
investigation.
process of it. Okay. A motion to approve policy policy exhibit ACAB E1 and E2.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Yes.
On E1, the top of page 2, I don't know if it was my printer error, but there was just procedure was its own line. I don't know if that was a printer error at the top of the second page.
Oh, it looks like a typo.
Yeah. So,
Thank you. We'll edit that. I got a second? Yes. go
So
ahead.
E1 is the procedures and E2 is the complaint form.
Correct. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Motion to remove policy exhibit ACAB E3 from the policy binder as it was just incorporated in the E2 exhibit.
So moved?
second.
Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Oh, we talked about policy ACE with non-discrimination on the basis of disability. We had lots of questions on that, so we asked for further review and we tabled it at this time. Policy JICFB, the anti-bullying. This policy, along with the bullying prevention and intervention plan, I'm so sorry, will be reviewed for further review, right? And it'll come back to us at a later time. Policy JICFB-E1, which is the incident reporting form for bullying prevention and intervention, had a few changes made to it, and it reflects what Mass DESI does at this point. It reflects their form. So a motion to approve policy exhibit JICFB-E1.
So moved?
Second?
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. And finally, we had one job description come forward. It was the athletic director job description. It was vetted through different people, and we had one little edit. We added one more responsibility to his very big list. And I make a motion to approve the athletic director job description as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Laura, could you just reiterate to everybody why that came about?
The athletic director job description?
Yeah, why we're approving that?
Because he was removed from the bargaining unit and is now on his own individual
Yeah,
contract.
thank you.
You're welcome. And that's it, and we have our next meeting in like 2 weeks.
We've had a busy night.
We did have a busy night. And we had a special baby guest, too.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Scales. Next, we have open forum. Is there anyone who would like to address the committee at open forum? Executive session on your agenda.
I do not.
All right, that will close open forum. And with that concludes the agenda items for tonight. We have a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thought there was one on.